his scout felt like he couldn't have as much impact as he wanted to. I just feel like EDG banning Azir is such a weird one.
I feel like they're just trying to set up Scout for the Sylas pick, right? They're just like, hey, look, we can try and take this away. Maybe we can end up taking the their own keeper's verdict for ourselves as well and try and go for some sort of play off of that. But it definitely feels like the Azir, for me, is kind of looking at we want to pick a Sylas and we want to make sure that we don't end up running into something like that pigeon.
And what runs, kind of tantamount to that as well is the fact that Talia's not going to be here. 100% win rate over across the series so far has been banned away by EDG now. So again, kind of forcing the side of RNG into something slightly different, as Xiaohu is going to have to pick up something a bit more unique now in that mid lane.
Yeah, I think this is where it gets a bit interesting, because I think you could always go for something like the Trundle here and try and match the jungle route, which I think is probably your best bet. But it does mean that then you're kind of going, okay, well, if RNG end up taking the Sylas, then we're in a bad spot. So they will actually end up going for the Sylas, which almost like guarantees EDG are going Trundle third pick. So then RNG will be able to answer knowing that that's more than likely the case.
Which, I mean, I feel like for RNG, yes, you're not going to have the best mid lane matchup, but I mean, you have choices. You can either go for mid lane to match the Sylas now, if you're really concerned about it, or you can just go for like Sivir plus support, and then it puts pressure on EDG, because if they take support on 3 to answer, they can't answer jungle. If they take jungle, they can't answer support. Kind of pinches them in that regard. And as long as Xiaohu is confident he has a pick that he can play into the Sylas after 2 bans, they won't pick mid here. But if they feel like Sylas is a bit of an issue, you're going to have to lock it in now.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they're just like, hey, we're happy to leave mid pick, because things like the Ryzen that are still available, something we haven't seen as like a high priority answer to the Sylas, but it definitely feels like something that can be incredibly good. And that's a curveball that I didn't see coming. I thought it would be like a support mid priority, but this is out completely out of left.
Yeah, it's still a similar concept. It's like picking the support, because as much as like, they aren't obviously picking the support pick, it still puts them in a similar position. EDG can answer jungle or can answer top. They can't answer both. And
maybe they can. Maybe they can.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like ultimately RNG aren't too pressed about this. It does make it harder for RNG to pinch, which is why the Sejuani makes so much sense. But I feel like whether you're playing Poppy or Aatrox in the Sejuani, you're kind of fine.
Yeah, and the thing is that you actually get to go, okay, well, at least on EDG's side, if they start banning supports, we're actually support first pick, right? So, I mean, yes, you can probably get rid of some of these enchanters as RNG, but you also don't want to be wasting, bans in 2 lanes that you're not really sure where this Sejuani is going to flex to. But I still think getting rid of, like, maybe a Lulu, maybe using your other ban towards a Renekton, and actually, not just target priority in 1 lane for these bans is actually probably going to be your best bet.
See where they want to bring it right now. The Ahri being taken off the table again. Neither mid laner willing to let that one go over. Even with the Sylas locked in, he can mimic, but definitely doesn't have the same kind of impact as you would imagine as the Ahri does. And now RNG taking in exactly your advice there, Dagda, saying, look, let's get rid of the Lulu. Let's make sure that they don't get it, we don't get it. But now we're kind of leaning back in towards the hard engaged champions that Meiko and Ming are known so much for.
I think the Renata could be a really good pick here for RNG. Like, you're already looking at a very short-range composition. You're more than likely going to see, some sort of triple melee topside, whatever way this ends up panning out. So I think the Renata would definitely be something that I'd be eyeing up for RNG. And I think you go, like, Rise for Xiaohu, Renata on the bot side. You've then got, like, decent ways to try and play outside lanes. You've got good speed up as well to try and find some CC from Xiaohu, but I have to see what the story is.
I feel like a problem is a lot of the picks, like, I think what is good into Zeri and then Ming would play. I think Amumu, I think Nautilus. But you're doing a Sylas. If you give Amumu or Nautilus ult to a Sylas, not the best plan, let's just say. So now EDG in this position, they know the top lane matchup. This is what they were running in that second game where they had that Renekton Sejuani combo. Didn't fully pay off, but they're going to commit to it. They don't prioritize the support because they feel more confident in a counter pick. A lot of those enchanters have been thinned out that we typically see. Expectation is maybe the RNG go for some engage, especially since with Wei on the Poppy, he's not as good as primary engage, but no matter what you pick, you're kind of giving such a good ult over the Sylas. I think for that reason, they won't take the Amumu, but the Nautilus probably the option.
Yeah, so, Orianna locked in now for Xiaohu, who's looking for that bit more control now in the mid lane.
Yeah, this Orianna is great into the Sylas. You are able to punish him super well with just using your command attack and making sure that you're just poking him off every time he goes for this CS. And you don't actually give over the best of ultimates towards the Sylas as well, because he's not going to be able to get off these multi-man shockwaves as easily, because it is just a sombrero for him. So I actually like this pick from Xiaohu. Also fits quite well into the composition, because I think one of the biggest problems that RNG are going to have is like getting on top of EDG with the way their composition is set up. So having some sort of follow-up to Ming engage, or if Wei ends up going in and just kind of being a ball delivery system for Xiaohu, I think it could work out great.
I mean, they're hovering the Braum here. I get the concept because we've seen Sejuani Braum years ago when it's like the double passive stacking really effective. I'm not sure it's that good in what RNG have, because the Braum shield is going to do a fantastic job of blocking things like the Aatrox, the Orianna, and ultimately, like, if you stack up your passive only for Sivir to spell shield it, it's so frustrating. So they will look at in, obviously confident they have engage options in the other area, but yeah, I'm not fully convinced on this Braum pick that's coming up in the bot lane for EDG. And also, they've gone back to that melee topside with Sejuani. They couldn't make it work before. They kind of need to make it work now.
Yeah, the Braum just feels very defensive, just saying, hey, look, we're kind of just giving up on bot side. It feels like you're not actually going to try and play around it. What you're instead looking to do is survive the bot lane, make sure that Wei can't play around Gala and Ming while you are continuously going towards these topside plays. But, I mean, we've already seen EDG try to make this work. It hasn't gone well for them, and I'm surprised to see them now kind of doubling down on this fact.
And I mean, it's Ming's Nautilus, something that has been consistently banned against him throughout the split. He is such a menace in the champion, and if he can link in with something like a Poppy in those early stages, like if the Sivir gets up to our High Noon Quiver and is able to just kind of freely push in that bot side, Ming's opened up to kind of affect the rest of the maps. They don't even need to worry about bot side.
Yeah, I mean, they can really look to challenge. I think one thing is that, like, they have those tools to sort of set up engages, particularly if you play towards the bot side or even top. Like, Poppy's so effective at playing to sides because you can obviously slam them into the wall when you're being dove under a side lane tower. There's nowhere to hide.
There is absolutely nowhere to hide, and for EDG, the spotlight is on them. They are 2-1 down in this series. They are still crawling back to make a reverse sweep happen. RNG back on the blue, one Nexus explosion away from securing themselves into the World Championships as our third seed, no less. They've been here plenty of times before. They know exactly what they both need to do. And Dagda, it's going to come down to execution.
And that's where I get a bit worried for EDG. I mean, the steadfast presence value in this one for Wei is absolutely sky high. Those thongs are well worth investing in at this stage. Xiaohu has control over the mid lane, which I think has been pretty key to this as well, including that jungle matchup as well, just being able to lean into that mid jungle. So for RNG, I really like what they're bringing to the table here. It feels like it kind of answers for a lot of what EDG want to try and achieve.
Bit of early just vision scouting coming out here from both sides, and Braum gets in. Oh, it's a great level 1.
Yeah, I think that's something you have to be concerned about, because Braum, Zeri, Sylas, Sejuani is such a scary level 1. Like, Sylas, if he takes the Chain Lash, connects onto a target, you can stack both of the passives if the Winter's Bite connects. So definitely some defensive vision options coming out from RNG. You have to be concerned about late invades, but it looks like EDG won't be trying anything yet.
Now, at the moment, they're just going to start to spread out. It's much more about jiejie trying to see where Wei is going to start and trying to get that early information. I don't feel like we're going to get any sort of like crazy early level 3 ganks or anything like that, but I mean, you never know, especially in Game 4, when your hopes of getting that third seed from the LPL are on the line. This is where you can start to get a bit funky with it.
I like how you can bring him back and get funky with it.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, I want to see teams like actually like just start dancing or something on we actually did see it.
I should not have that much power.
Yeah.
If I could just say get funky and teams immediately have
what an incredible superpower to have.
When someone asks me what I want my superpower to be,
Sona roll, right?
Yeah. It's just like get funky when a Sona crescendo comes in, but yeah, it is, again, like you said, just kind of seeing how those teams are going to end up kind of fighting around those skirmishes. You do feel like the Poppy is just like, again, we've seen so many junglers just touting how powerful that early game skirmishing is. You get to level 3 and you just, with that flash and of course the heroic charge, you have so many ways of just getting on top of and creating really significant gank possibilities.
Yeah, I think the main thing is like, it's hard to have too much impact in the mid lane on Poppy unless someone overextends, but you're under a Sylas. So this is one of the banes of being a melee mid laner, is that if you want to be trading pushing forward, you can end up pushing your lane to a point where you are vulnerable to a gank, and if you don't contest the wave, then you're just getting harassed in a tower, which is also not fun.
Especially when you look at the skirmishing strength that EDG have on that top side, right? Like mid-jungle 2v2, I definitely lean in favor of EDG, because if they get onto anybody, they have so much lockup, so much damage, that they should be able to take down either Wei or Xiaohu. Flandre in that top side as well is going to be an absolute menace. So it just becomes a case of how well can EDG set up for that. And I mean, at the moment, jiejie thinking of going mid, but it's actually going to be Wei who's sneaking in onto the bot side.
Yeah, but I think the critical thing to note here is that we saw Scout really heavily trading Hell in return for trying to get that priority to move over. Bot lane, we see Meiko. I mean, you picked the Braum as a counter to this, and now Poppy's coming.
Yeah, the Poppy's coming. You got to see them kind of moving in here now. Poppy way, way, way behind, but no, minion wave going to be coming in.
Gone.
Yeah, minion wave's gone. It's a little bit too late, but yeah, Scout thinking about maybe hovering over, but wasn't really in a position to kind of make something happen. And I think Wei realized it would take too long for that minion wave to crash in again.
Yeah, he went very deep on the play, and I can understand why. Scout had already started to lean down, so wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to get caught out by Scout in the middle of the enemy jungle and get dove on, but it does mean that he's not in a position then to actually capitalize on that. So Wei will be spotted out, which means jiejie has full information now, and he's going to try and make a play on top side.
Oh, and this has to work, I feel, for EDG. They did get that first gank off last time they played this combo, but you want momentum.
Yeah, you do want momentum. There's going to be the Infernal Chains. They do get the permafrost down. A good flash means the flail will not land. We're going to need jiejie to come back in here to really put a stamp on that letter.
And I feel like the call was, look, we can't follow further. Flandre kind of misused his dash initially, didn't perfectly get himself on top of Breathe, because jiejie could have flashed to make sure the flail connected, had that slow come in, and then maybe they could have chased more, but they didn't overcommit to the play. And sure, they get a summoner, but you pick this Renekton Sejuani because you really want to foster an advantage.
Yeah, I feel like at this stage it's kind of been too often that we've seen this top side not actually go the way that EDG wanted. I'd much rather see them try and move this in towards mid lane. I think if you get Scout ahead, Scout has been phenomenal on this Sylas pick. He is so scary when he gets rolling. I think if you try and play through this mid-jungle 2v2, you're going to find so much more than we've actually seen Flandre been able to achieve, even when he does get leads on Renekton.
See Wei moving in, possibly invading on these Raptors here. I feel like just the fact that you have that Orianna in the mid lane, the fact that you have that level of control does give you some freedom, but he's not actually taking a direct route on it, doesn't want to contest it. Instead, getting some vision control down, and you can see countering that play, Scout has put a ward down in return, so both teams opting to try and contest some of that vision, trying to get some eyes on the enemy jungler.
And I wanted to kind of bring us back down to the Orianna as well, because it's not something that we've seen pretty much at all this split whatsoever. So why now, Ox? Why is it just so good into particularly what RNG have built up for themselves, or even into what EDG want to try and go for? We'll come back to it in a second. It should just be a trade of spells there. But yeah, the Orianna, why is it coming back?
I mean, it's basically like you have the mid laners you would love to have, like the control mages in Azir and Talia banned away, and Orianna. I mean, the downside is compared to the Azir, you're not as safe, right? You don't have that same dash, and compared to the Talia, you don't have quite as much power control, but you're still a control mage who can dictate the pace of the lane, pressure Sylas early, and try and keep him at bay.
I just don't understand what EDG are trying to achieve here, though, on the top side, coming back into just the way the game is. You're using all that time there to move Scout up top, to move jiejie up top. For what? I mean, Flandre was never in a position to try and flash forward and get that dash. It feels like, honestly, for a huge event of this series, Flandre has been completely on a different page to everything EDG want to do.
I mean, I feel like we just saw last game, EDG won when they didn't play for Flandre. Oh, wait, Shockwave.
Shockwave lands on the 2, and 2 immediate flashes there from EDG. It does delay the dragon. As we mentioned earlier, they were going to try to take it on RNG's side. But at the end of the day, you've now lost 2 massive summoners.
Yeah, I mean, that can be punished further on. The mid-jungle, Rob, you were just saying that you want to see them play around it. The fact they lose both those flashes might limit their ability to do so. But yeah, I mean, my point I was saying, Flandre, they didn't play around him last game. They stuck him on the Gragas, and you know what? He got MVP, so maybe that's a sign of how they should be leaning in these games.
Yeah, I mean, look, at least not having that 2v2 work out for them, EDG have still stopped that dragon. So won't be able to lose that, but Scout getting very bullied. And this is the thing, you don't get a huge amount of opportunities as Scout in this lane to actually start roaming, to have impact on the map. And the fact that you're not getting these plays to actually stick is a major problem. Breathe going to be coming back up with his flash soon, but RNG will have to see if they can try and keep him safe until that summer spell comes up.
And I feel like the thing EDG really want to look for is freeing up members and finding skirmishes. That's where they really are stellar, right? Sylas is that pick that is so good in skirmishes, but you have the Braum, the Sejuani, that double CC passive with the Renekton as well. Like, you want to be finding these fights, making things happen, and RNG just haven't given them a window.
And maybe Rift Herald is that window to do so, right? You can see jiejie immediately turns over towards that, but I don't think RNG are really interested in trying to find that pick. They know that if you try and play into that skirmish with the 3 melees, a Sejuani, need the CC. It's going to just be a bad time. So actually, jiejie not going to start up the Rift Herald for the moment. Actually going to see instead if he can take this top side before he turns over towards that objective, and Wei going to respond.
I was going to say, Wei's in this bot side, flash in, gets the hit up against the wall. They drag him back, so he cannot flash back. And that's going to be first blood going over to RNG.
And that should lead them into this dragon. Just a good heads-up play. Summoner was back available for Meiko, but the flash from Wei didn't allow him time to react. Now, EDG are going to trade for the Herald, which I think they're happy with, but obviously RNG getting the kill did give them the edge.
Yeah, and you can see now with Orianna pushing in mid, they're just going to lean down towards this bot side, so should be able to get the dragon for themselves. Wasn't sure how aggressive they wanted to go here, especially if Viper does show underneath the tower, but looks like they're just going to keep it easy as EDG considering making a play on towards Breathe in the top side. His flash is just about to come back up though, and Flandre taking a pretty terrible trade.
I feel like that just like instantly discourages you from making the play. They're still going to try and go for it, but Flandre using so much health, I mean, he can't be a factor in this play.
I mean, I was just going to say, he's going to have to pop Dominus to not lose this fight because he's going to lose it at 1v1 at the moment. There's the World Ender coming in. Nobody's taking the aggro just yet. Great flash there from Breathe in the top side. They're going to try and tank this one for as long as they can. He hasn't gone down just yet. Flandre almost falling, but he's lost his flash. Xiaohu and Wei are here, and they're going to try and take him out. There's a flash command attack, means that Xiaohu picks this one up. No World Ender now for Scout, means that Wei might be able to try and stun him up. They're just going to slow him down for the moment. No steadfast presence means it cannot move him away. Ming at the right place at the right time. 2 kills to Xiaohu.
Yeah, I think that play probably would have gone better if Flandre wasn't 20% HP when they started it, but apparently that's how they want to do it. You could see he was trying to force the wave in, but I mean, Breeze just did a fantastic job of mitigating the play, making the dive tricky, and yes, RNG were late, but they end up winning out because of Breeze's fantastic play.
Yeah, it was a great response from RNG, like Breeze buys so much time, World Ender with the healing, and again, as you say, like jiejie has to try and sit out and tank because Flandre is taking so low. Flandre now completely overextended, and again, once Xiaohu gets the command attack here, the dissonance hits Scout, he gets the speed up, and he then enables the chase down in that top lane as well. And once you've got like the speed up for Wei, he's also got a slow in his own kit as well. There's just no escaping for Scout.
I mean, we're so early into the game, and this feels like desperation plays from EDG. I feel like the call is kind of overloading this top side, but it's just not working.
I will say, though, the goal is still even because of the big CS advantages that we're seeing across the board for EDG, right? You've got the advantage for Viper in the bot side. There's still a 30 CS lead for Flandre in this top lane because of the bullying that has been going on. So even though you do have a couple of mistakes coming through from EDG, they are still staying within touching distance.
And the big test is going to be this Herald. What they can do with that, how they can expand the lead, get ahead, because I feel like momentum is so key when you have these melee champions. You're playing into a Sivir and Orianna. These champions will make mincemeat of a short-range compositions like EDG if you are working from behind. So Herald and Pocket, they're looking for maybe a pick on a Ming. They won't be able to find it.
I mean, it comes back down to the Braum pick. It's not a heavy engage, it's a disengage. It's someone that can kind of help kite out. It's not someone who's really going to have that same kind of level of hard engage to make a pick happen.
It doesn't matter, though. All they wanted to do was just try and keep RNG out of this bot side. You can see they want to try and set up for a play with the wave that's now there with the Rift Herald, especially since Gala was forced to reset because of the amount of members of EDG in this bot side. So even though they don't get the kill, they get the play they want, and there's the Rift Herald.
And gold onto Viper. On this Zeri, I would say is a good investment, generally speaking.
But we haven't really seen Zeri pop off very much, so I don't know. Maybe they should put it
not in this particular
series. Maybe need some buffs, I feel like. Maybe make her, I don't know, her R can crit as well. Why not? Her E can crit. She like goes over the whole map.
I love results-based analysis. That's what I love to see. That's why I pay you guys the big bucks to be here on the desk. But again, kind of putting more stonks into the Zeri. And again, like Viper hasn't really, I will say that this series hasn't really been about the AD carries because both sides have found very good ways of mitigating, but that doesn't mean they can't be now.
But that's very surprising in and of itself, right? The last series that we saw these two teams face off against each other was a bit of a bot diff, with Viper getting the advantage there. So the fact that this has become so much more focused, at least from EDG's side on the top lane, is a little baffling for me. And the fact now that you're starting to fall into a position where you're not really getting as much use as you would have liked out of the Rift Herald. You've got 2 kills in this Orianna who's accelerated. When she gets to 2 items, that's where you're going to see that she can just take over with Wei in this this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so scared of the Orianna. The fact that not only does it function as the high damage control mage, but also the shielding can be so valuable onto things like the Sivir can make that difference, especially since we're in a game where there isn't the enchanters that we typically have seen.
And think about it, the last time we had this top side from EDG, they were like, hey, let's just jump onto Gala. 3 people out in the one area. Xiaohu goes, that sounds fantastic.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Well, like, I feel like this is in prime position. In fact, Gala can be the ball delivery system in that scenario.
Pop your ult and go.
Would not be in vain.
I think Gala would have to feel a little sad if it was just like, you're the ball delivery system. It's like, oh.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like we haven't heard it from Xiaohu before. He turned around to Bane and was like, you will die here, but we will win. Yeah. Maybe that's the call.
Maybe that's the call, but the call right now is to have a little bit of a fight now on top of Meiko, who does get the blast kill, but that leaves jiejie kind of isolated on his own. 10 seconds till that dragon spawns. You don't have a Glacial Fissure and you don't have a flash.
Yeah, the play from RNG there, the plan was to CC him and then knock him back with a blast cone, but because Meiko put his shield up, they couldn't actually auto past him, and he does manage to get away. So a decent investment there with the ults from Poppy and Nautilus down. I think EDG should feel confident in fighting this.
Got the Eclipse now for the Aatrox, who has TP'd in towards that mid lane. Dragon into about half HP and starts to reset, regen. Scout in the backside of the pit. They know he's there, and he nearly lands an abscond abduct. Here we go, full flight going to be coming in. You're going to have the Aatrox on the backside of this as they try to jump into it. Shockwave only onto Meiko. They're going to have flashes burnt here as Gala tries to keep himself safe. They get down way, but Scout might have gone a little bit too far forward. As I say that, he gets himself back to the safety of his team. Never mind, he's taken down in a 2-for-1 trade. Dragon still procced, and Viper's still feeling good. He flashes forward. He cleanses with the Immortal Shield to keep him alive, and Gala has fallen down. EDG get themselves a fight, and they also get the dragon.
And it just comes down to these little moments. EDG do a fantastic job of pushing forwards so they don't get cornered by the Aatrox. They pull back. I mean, they are so low, but I don't think Xiaohu can go any further.
Xiaohu's incredibly low himself, so he will just back away, but great fight from EDG. Just about being able to dodge out from the shockwave means that the low health bars you see on your screen aren't significantly grayer. Really good fight from EDG, and you'll see it as we get into this, like Scout managing to get the depth charge, put so much pressure onto RNG.
And I just feel like the fact that there is this Aatrox on the flank, so they push forwards, they go aggressive, while you see the front liners instantly stop Breathe from getting access to Viper. So Viper can free hit, and then Breathe suddenly realizes, wait, Viper's coming for me, but he doesn't get a chance to get away from this situation. And then Viper actually makes a little bit of a misplay here because the Braum passive on Xiaohu times out, but with the shield bow able to survive for the rest of his team to follow up. It's just, you know, not exactly flawless team fighting, but a good sense of where to move for EDG.
I mean, we're jumping back straight into it because they got the Rift Herald to come up right now. Yeah, we're going to see they're taking inspiration from our finals yesterday. Wade tries to look for something, but the flash doesn't really lead to anything else. The Rift Herald still being taken down right now as we've got a full 5. Whoa! That Poppy ult has some serious stonks on it. They secure themselves the Rift Herald and the kill onto Scout, and this is why this Poppy has such a massive emphasis.
Brilliant ult from Way, smacks EDG down in their place, and Scout sees them sailing gloriously through the air and goes,
my team.
Oh, crap.
And it's so good against these dive threats, right? The fact that they'll all be in melee range clumped together. If you get, I mean, one person with a Poppy ult can be enough to win a team fight if you knock them away at the right time. But 3, it's a no-brainer. You're going to win that one.
And that's exactly what RNG needed, right? That gold starting to teeter a little bit in favor of EDG. Tempo starting to teeter in favor of Edward Gaming. But with that, they managed to bring it back. Now they're the ones with the Rift Herald. They can start to crack open at least a turret in this game. Because the fact that we're 17 minutes into this game and no turrets have opened up yet just tells you how tense and close this game 4 is.
I mean, look at the gold. It is literally almost exactly equal. 5 kills apiece, a dragon apiece. No one going to be anywhere near Soul for at least 12 or 13 minutes. So we are going to be getting to that ultra late game. It's going to come down to those big fights. And again, the power of the Poppy to be able to just get not just one member, put 3 or 4 out of a fight is huge.
And still we're trying to see if we can get the fight that can break the camel's back here. Edward Gaming trying to see if they can really get there, but 3 men gone immediately. And Scout, it would have been so nice, Scout. I sure it would have been amazing.
Flank was amazing.
But there's just nobody there.
I mean, honestly, the layering of the CC was starting to come out from EDG. Like, Meiko's Braum ult was connected onto, I think it was Xiaohu as a target, but not able to follow up because of that ult. Really good play, but now still seeing so much back and forth, contesting every little bit they can. RNG did slam down the Herald. I think they slammed it bottom, got that tower.
Yep.
Yeah, well, in the replay. So we do get the first tower of the game taken down, but they're trying to continue this pressure around this mid lane tier 1.
But EDG have been learning as this series goes on. Like game 3, significantly closer. Well, I mean, the win for EDG. Now we're getting into game 4, and EDG keeping us within touching distance once more, trying to play for the late game fights that have been EDG's domain, and see if they can push us to that game 5, get us to silver scrapes. And look, a loss here will not knock them out of World's contention, but it will knock them out of starting in World's group stage.
That's the big thing. And not only that, but it's also momentum. You don't want to be going in to what could potentially be, or well, effectively could be your last game of the season off a loss. You want to try and build that. You want to try and say, no, we should be the favorites coming into us. Yes, it's a lifeline because of the rest of the spring, but Viper is just going to sit in there kind of saying, look, I won't go away, but you're going to have to try and get away from this tower because you're not going to be able to defend it.
There's one of the powers of the Poppy, though. I mean, you look on the left of your screen, the ult's back up. This is one of the big buffs that came in to make Poppy come back in the meta, is the fact that if you do cancel the channel, it's down to 15 seconds. You can just use it as a zoning tool. I feel like a lot of the strengths of Poppy isn't necessarily just this is what she does in fights, but the fact that you can set up for them, you can remove people from fights is so powerful.
And that setup has allowed RNG to set up in that bot side jungle as well. Vision control now for Dragon in 40 seconds. You've got that 2-item spike for Xiaohu, who we were talking about. You were working up into Sivir being an absolute menace as well. We're starting to crest into the later portion of the game, and EDG, they're still waiting for those second items to really come online to try and match the power of RNG right now.
Okay, everyone except Wei has flash, and there is a stopwatch on Scout, the only one that I can see in the game. So, going to come down to how to execute this fight, and this is where we start to see the cracks form between either of these teams. It's so close. This could be the fight that breaks the camel's back.
And the big thing I'm looking for is Gala and Xiaohu being able to play safe, big shockwave coming in, but the backline being able to get off that DPS. Whereas EDG, you have the shorter range composition. You have the melee picks, you want the flanks, and you can see Flandre and Scout already set up a position for them.
Good vision, though, off on the side, making sure they can spot out where Flandre is. This is where it gets dangerous, especially in the Infernal Rift. There's so many avenues in.
There's so many ways to get into this, but you could just get punted right out. There's going to be the Poppy ult completely missing. The Glacial Fissure used to try and engage. jiejie needs to get out. They steal away the Poppy ult themselves, and that means that EDG have full control. They did not want to kind of take the fight just there, so RNG, they've got a little bit of an inside track, but I don't think they're going to be able to get much else.
Yeah, Scout sees what Wei did in the last fight and says, yeah, that looks pretty good. Able to just get Ming away, and that is enough for them to get the fight. Oh, Shockwave, a bit awkward here.
Yeah, they're looking to try and contest around this mid turret, just trying to stop them from defending it. They will get a little bit of damage, but at the end of it all, Dagda, it's still EDG with the Dragon.
Yeah, they didn't have enough damage to really force Edward Gaming away. So EDG get the Dragon, they're back to defend. They do lose a couple of CS to the tower, so at least a little bit of gold will be lost, but that's going to be a big sigh of relief for Edward Gaming.
And particularly when you have these big carries like the Sivir, like the Zeri, Orianna, Sylas, Infernal Dragons, even though obviously the soul is massive, don't get me wrong, but just picking up those dragons, 6% AP and AD after the buffs can make so much of a difference just when we see these fights get so close. We think of that dragon fight before, how close it was, how back and forth, how low everyone was. Any difference can really go a long way.
Especially the sheer amount of AoE damage that you get from pretty much everyone on RNG's side is going to be absolutely insane. So you do have to be so incredibly careful. Breathe is starting to get control over this side wave, though. He's been able to get a little bit of an experience lead for himself. He's getting towards this point where he's going to be a bit of a menace in these fights as well. And we always talk about how back and forth Renekton versus Aatrox is. Well, Breathe definitely the one coming out this time around.
The middle minion who could not. It's on 32 health. Sorry, it's on 17 health.
Honestly, RNG kind of wanted the minion to kill it there because, oh wait, we get a fight.
Oh, Wei flashes away. And they do end up kind of getting him back to safety. The power of the Orianna, that extra little bit of shielding. Xiaohu, though, needs to be very careful. We could see Scout go in, try and get the sombrero, but look at the damage already onto this Orianna. He could 1v1 this one, no problem whatsoever. And this Orianna's starting to get that late game monster.
A lot of members of RNG starting to move up here as well. They're feeling this one.
Oh, they're looking for it. Ming thinking about maybe going for it. You don't have the shockwaves, so you're not going to be able to try and drag people back into this. But again, more pressure being put on from both sides. Ming, though, might have to flash over the wall because he's all by himself as the rest of EDG are now here.
Yeah, and we saw Wei lose his flash just in the bottom right of your screen. Ming now losing his as well. Costly enough, Flandre's TP'd in.
Flandre has TP'd in. Gala has flashed away, but can he get away? That's the question. The Nautilus ultimate will save him, but it's all because Ming had to sacrifice his own life. You are going to get the Poppy ultimate just to try and make sure that there's no follow-up, but they might go for Baron.
Yeah, Gala has to reset. You can't stay on that health. And with Ming gone as well, this is an easy Baron start for EDG. Breezy's trying to find a flank angle, but it's currently just 3 members.
Yeah, they're going to try and disengage onto him. There's going to be the ultimates used. They have the shockwave there from the Orianna. That was stolen. They're going to bring him back. Another Poppy ult goes wayward side. There's a great shockwave from Xiaohu to make them think twice. And EDG, they thought about doing the Baron. Now they're on the run.
The way Whiff Diff is coming in hot for RNG right now. EDG will just back away, though. Baron will be stopped thanks to Xiaohu's ultimate. And maybe, just maybe, RNG might be able to move up to get this tower on top side.
Honestly, if I was RNG, I would just start the Baron myself. They're being so low. But looks like they're going to play this. Oh, they actually, pings are coming out.
They're looking for it now.
I say just go for it. Everyone's so low, you know they're on reset. If they storm over, maybe you can find something. It looks like they want to try and bait in the area, but jiejie, yeah, they're going to blue trinket, so you're kind of comfortable in that position.
Yeah, it's up. RNG will still look to see if they can make the pick on a jiejie, but you're never going to catch this Sejuani, so they instead will move back into mid. And I mean, a little bit unfortunate, right? You could see them very much discussing what they were supposed to do, so they don't get top tower, they don't get waves pushed in, and they don't get to start a Baron. So all that time that EDG were resetting kind of just wasted by RNG.
Now I feel like the focal point has to be this next Dragon once again, but with the fact that the Baron is available, there's more pressure on this Dragon fight. If you lose this Dragon fight, could well just lose the Baron as well and have that back of influence. We do see the TP flank coming in here, and I feel like Renekton is kind of defined on whether or not he can reach the backline. When he can reach the backline, he can really just cause massive issues for your AD carry, especially at this point in the game when Gala just doesn't have the damage to cut through him.
We come back into live, 40 seconds till the next Dragon spawns. It's going to be sole point for EDG.
And that's the thing, big plays earlier on from Flandre means that there's no flash or cleanse on Gala, so they're going to be looking to see if they can eye up that RNG AD carry. Xiaohu, though, wants to see if he can try and hold on to these jungle corridors and use them to get big shockwaves.
Yeah, I mean, some advantage. Everyone on the side of EDG, sorry, has a flash apart from Meiko. And if they can use those well, it can make all the difference.
Yeah, he's on a bit of a flank now. He knows he needs to keep himself away. If he can just get in, like you said earlier, get onto that Nautilus ultimate, steal that away to set something up. Without a flash, without a cleanse, Gala's going to have to keep that spell shield for the very end. But it is RNG recognizing their 5v4 for the moment.
Look, Flandre is trying to find a flank angle. He's pop dominance. This is go time.
They're going to go and try and look for it, but they know he's there. So he has to back himself away. You're going to lose timer on this now. So you can see EDG immediately starting up the Dragon. They know they need to find a fight right here.
Flandre has the flash. He needs to get on towards Gala. Scout is pincering.
Scout's going for it. They're going to get the ultimate there from jiejie to try and come in, but Scout's being pincered. The steadfast presence is good. The Poppy ultimate is better, and they knock back the solo laners. Now EDG are just having to run away. Couple of gray screens as Breed moves forward as he's going to try and end EDG's world. Flandre thought he had the flank, but he ends up baiting his entire team, and they all fall down.
Gala lives. RNG will put EDG in the dirt, and just like that, they will move over towards the Baron. It looked so good until the keeper's verdict said no.
It was pixel perfect there from Wei. You literally saw Flandre coming in, flashing, about to use the empowered stun onto Gala, whose spell shield was already down. Gala was dead, and then he wasn't. And RNG managed to find the fight and get the Baron as well. They'll reset and try to find a time, but I want to point out that's the exact moment, because Flandre has full Fury stack from the ultimate. And watch this, Gala spell shield down, knocked up, about to come in, but gets stopped by Wei. The dash is prevented, the knockaway's there, and as a result, suddenly you have Xiaohu and Gala pumping that damage out.
And Viper gets taken out of the fight immediately. He has to run away from Breed. He has to run away from Xiaohu, and that opens up RNG to keep their AD carry safe, to find the victory in this fight, and put themselves one step closer to World Groups.
We'll say that EDG were able to pick up the Dragons. They still get themselves onto Soul Point at the end of that. Way stealing away the red buff, but now this Baron buff with the Sivir and of course the Orianna. So difficult here for EDG to defend this. You're so short ranged.
I mean, revenge feels imminent for RNG. They were beaten in playoffs and salty. They come back and they run through EDG. They might have 3 dragons in EDG, but they got to try and keep their base.
Honestly, I think EDG just want to start a fight, make something happen, because they don't do well against the pushing power of the Baron. Gala's been a spell shield. Maybe that's a signal for an engage, but your tower is dropping.
I mean, you've got so much frontline just to protecting him, and you can see Breed. He doesn't even need to be with his team right now. Here we go. We're going to have the tower going down, and immediately a fight. Scout has to flash away. Going to use the Blast Cone to stop Breed from going in with the World Ender, but you're still being pushed back right now. Complete whiff there from jiejie. Doesn't land onto anybody, and another fantastic Keeper's Verdict. Wei has made a judge, jury, and executioner right now, and he is denying Flandre every time.
And honestly, Gala was getting low, and as much as the ult didn't hit, it was hard to land against the front line. He was on the slow field. Once more, it looked like maybe they could find an angle, and the ult comes down from Wei. I feel bad for Flandre, honestly. Every time you feel like he's going to make the impact, boom, he's flown back to his base.
And I mean, look, the first 2 ults from Wei weren't exactly the cleanest, but when it counts, when it comes to saving Gala's life, God, you got to be able to bet on Wei, because this has been absolutely incredible. Like, good engage there from RNG to force Scout back, but here again, like the poke from Viper landing on towards Gala has no way to escape, and again, immediately gone.
Yeah, and I actually think the angle of the ult was good, because you could never hit Gala. He threaded the needle, got the slow down. It's just so frustrating, I feel, honestly, for EDG. They're trying to make this happen. They're just being denied. But RNG still have a bit of Baron left. They're trying to push in and get some more damage done.
Yeah, they got it for 20 more seconds. And you got a 4-item Sivir right now, or just about it. So you're able to absolutely destroy these structures. So that's going to be top inhibitor and inhibitor turret down. That's going to be the middle inhibitor down. So much going in favor of RNG, and they're knocking on that door. They want to go to Worlds.
Flandre just wants to push in topside, make sure they can buy some time to try and deal with some pressure from RNG, but RNG Baron buff just faded.
Here we go. There's going to be another Keeper's Verdict. They don't even have to use it just yet, but they're going to have a TP from Flandre, who's on the backside of this fight now. Keeper's Verdict knocks Scouts away. Here we go. This is going to be your final stand from EDG. They're looking to try and get onto Gala and Xiaohu, but he's not quite able to get anyone just yet. It's good at the moment, because look at Viper, completely untouched. It's a nice shockwave, but not nice enough. You get 2 kills, and Viper's not done just yet. He moves forward, but he needs to be so careful. This Aatrox and Orianna can do work. He flashes forward. The Aatrox will give up his life, and it's 3 kills over to EDG.
Big influx of gold, and they manage the base defense, but the problem is we're a minute 30 from the Dragon. RNG will respawn, and EDG's base are in shambles. They finally get the flank they were looking for, but was it too late?
2 inhibitors down. No TP for Flandre now for this next objective. Flashes burnt galore across the board, and as you say, this was a great flank from Flandre, but the problem was, look how deep he had to go for it. And at that stage, RNG say, right, we're just going to push forward. We know that there is no croc. They won't get the inhibitor, but they will just about manage to get some members to escape off the back of this.
And you can see, this is where the Renekton's flourishing, right? You're on the back line, the AoE damage from your ult is there. Gala can't really do anything. That's 1,000 gold shutdown that did come in. These are all positive things, but now everyone's back up for RNG. There's a TP for Breathe as well. We're 40 seconds from this Dragon. I feel like EDG, you lose this, the game's over. It's a no-brainer. They need this fight. They need another win to get themselves in this series.
They need to keep control over this jungle. Scout, can he TP onto the backline? There is that control ward that's been completely ignored by RNG. That could be another flank angle for Edward Gaming to try and find, but they will be spotted.
Double pinks, exactly what you said, that flank ward coming in, but RNG, no, they don't have to try and flip this Baron, or this Dragon, if they don't have to go for it. They're going to try and fight first, as Meiko taken very low. There's the ultimate as Flandre jumps onto the backside. He's trying to kill off this Sivir. This Gala carry shall just survive, and now he's starting to ricochet boomerang blade, and Flandre finally finds him. Viper doing work. EDG, they find another fight, and EDG will ace RNG.
They get the flanks consistently. Scout coming from the mid lane. Flandre finds Gala, and EDG are putting RNG down. They will not be denied in this 5-game series.
And look, Flandre instantly having to return. The super minions knocking at the base, but EDG have pulled off what seemed impossible. They managed to find the fight, and honestly, the problem there was RNG commit too much on a Meiko. Notice, Wei used his ultimate there to try and get the pick, and as a result, Flandre is like, it is go time. No pop yield, Gala is dead.
And it's always the spell shield down as well. Flandre moves in the second he realizes it's down. Gala isn't getting the AoE damage. The damage from Sivir needs to be able to hit multiple people to have the impact like you'd hope to. And because of that, Zeri is better. Scout is in the better position. And EDG, they're on the Baron.
They have Infernal Soul now, so it's a big boost to power. Wei's trying to come in, though.
Oh, he knocked away the jungler, but he can't get into mid. No, he can! You cannot flip the Baron against Wei. He will always find his way into the pit and get the steal. Now EDG need to run away and try and defend their base.
I mean, just like that, EDG turned the page and the book is slammed shut in their face. EDG thought they had it. Finally, they could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it is grasped away by RNG.
So the good news is inhibs are respawning. The bad news is RNG are going to destroy them again if they get the chance.
Would you say this is one of your copper linings there, Ox?
Yeah, definitely one of the copper linings in this situation. Infernal Soul will do a lot to help with the wave clear, though. And also, if Zeri starts to land a W, she is now 4 items. She will do an insane amount of damage. So, RNG have the pushing power. They want to take the inhibs, but you have to respect the fact that EDG have nearly clawed back the goal difference. They now have 3 Infernal Dragons, 18% AD and AP on top of that extra burst. It's a lot to deal with in a fight, but first, let's have a look at how Wei found his way in.
I mean, it's just incredible. Instantly gets jiejie out of the pit. There's no smite. How do you manage to thread that? Like, this has been incredible. These ultimates from Wei have been so impactful.
MSI 2022 champions, the reigning world 2021 champions, both in the regional qualifiers. They're not out if they lose, but my God, do they want to make it easier on themselves.
But here's the problem. You had RNG win 2021 MSI. They've got 2 of these in the same time window. And that's why they're trying to push into the base. Flank ward's still there.
The little control ward that could.
Yeah. I mean, can it though? Because right now you're kind of pushing in. This time there's no turret to take. You only have your Nexus turrets left. And Ox, they're going to try and look for it again.
Yeah, they find the spell shield from Xiaohu that's big. If RNG overcommit into that choke point, that is prime opportunity for them to get engaged on, so they have to be
TP.
so careful.
That's the TP.
They
They
go
don't
for the
know
flank.
the Flandre.
They're backing up. They're backing up.
Yeah, they must have spotted. There's no vision behind them. They're hunting for the croc, but who finds who?
I mean, Flandre might have thought he was on a flank, but now he's been collapsed upon. He just gets not quite stunned, and he will back himself away, but now no TP for the Renekton.
Yeah, good moves from RNG to keep an eye out for the TP, but at the end of the day, EDG got what they wanted. The Baron push has been halted, and with 30 seconds to go, the Baron will time out, but Infernal Soul is there for the whole game.
And that's what they've done in the last fight as well, is Flandre would commit the first TP, but you could still find the flank for Scout. The fact they've managed to hold on to these inhibitors while the Baron is about to time out is so crucial for EDG. This game is not over.
And it is starting to creep towards full item builds. You can see there Viper and Gala starting to sit on their final items. Both have a 4-item haul, boots, and a BF sword just to make sure everything's good. No Zhonya's yet here for Xiaohu, respecting the fact that he's got the range advantage. But again, it's going to come down to execution.
Every time we see these two organizations go up against each other, it's an absolute banger. EDG trying to prove that Summer does belong to them, that was not a fluke, beating RNG in the summer playoffs, and they are fighting tooth and nail. Viper, who has stepped up to be the carry numerous times for Edward Gaming, approaching full build. Scout starting to get so deadly on this Sylas, but they need to overcome Xiaohu and Gala.
Overcome it as well, of course. RNG, they are still, despite being an Infernal Soul down, there is literally Nexus turrets left. If they leave that base open for too long, EDG know they will just get run through and there's nothing they can do about it. So Ox, how do you navigate this? How do you dance through this as EDG to make sure you can still get those big fights but not lose your base?
I think you have to be really careful with setting up vision, like a defensive line of vision around your base, pushing out, making sure there aren't any wards here that someone could TP to or just lean on. Pushing waves out as best you can, and then moving over the dragon area. You have to contest this Elder, or you'll just lose the game.
2 GAs picked up for EDG. Flandre and Viper will get a second lease at life in this one, and it feels like they need a second lease at life to push it to that game 5. Zhonya's available for Scout as well. There is a huge amount of survivability of those stasises coming through from EDG, and that's why you're looking at RNG with Breathe now picking up his own one to see if they can try and match that alongside Gala.
Yeah, Gala, yeah. Also, so a lot of GAs coming in. They know this is going to be a big fight. There is a ward near the base of EDG if RNG wanted to try and go for a backdoor play, but I think they might just try and challenge. The vision control is in favor of EDG right now, and that can be so difficult with those flank angles coming in, so RNG are trying to push through mid and apply pressure there.
Yeah, Xiaohu's just running straight top lane. Xiaohu has the TP. He's just saying, look, screw this. As long as we don't get engaged on, I can end the game. Breathe is coming with them, who also has the teleport. RNG, they're trying to backdoor the base. Scout has read it though, he's retreated.
He's got himself his TP. Remember, Flandre still hasn't got his back off of cooldown when he went for that flank, but he's 2v1. Never mind, he's 2v2. Flandre needs to make a decision. It's a bit of a split fight.
He's not shown yet. He's trying to loop round and not show that he's there and find an angle of Xiaohu.
They have no idea.
Orianna.
Here
This
we
is
go.
gonna be big.
2v2 coming in. They're going to steal away the shockwave. The sombrero there for Scout. Only lands onto one. Breathe kind of going in a bit of a 1v1 flash in. Xiaohu gets jumped on by the big crocodile. And he's dead. Now it's on to Breathe. They're going to make this one work as we get a 3v3 in the picture. GA has been proc. Scout getting taken very, very low as Breed tries to make the last little breath of his work mean that he can take away the inhibitor. He does end up getting it, but you've lost 2. Now, as you look towards this back down towards this Elder, EDG look to take that advantage.
EDG are reading RNG like a book. Flandre finds that beautiful spot, but RNG will not be outdone. They want to go for the Baron. They want to try and make sure that EDG can't get it, but it's going to be a 3v3. Way is low. Scout, Keeper's Verdict could steal away this.
I mean, here comes Scout. They're going to try and go for it. RNG, you need to leave. If you die here, you lose the game. They're not going to try and flip it, but that means that Elder goes over and almost certainly Baron as well.
Yeah, they've got the Infernal Soul. They're getting the Elder. They'll get the Baron too. Triple buffs. It feels like that should be enough for EDG to take this game, and RNG, they try to make the backdoor play, but EDG completely answered them.
2 of the oldest organizations in the LPL. I don't know about you boys. I'm feeling several centuries older after this game as well. EDG now will turn over towards the Baron. RNG have breathed with the TP. They will need to try and figure out how the hell they are supposed to defend against the Elder Dragon and a Baron up EDG.
The big thing to note, Flandre Scout TP's burnt. They do have that empowered recall, which can go a long way, but not quite as snappy as the fact that Xiaohu and Breathe have a TP. There's no way RNG should win a fight against Elder Infernal Soul. I say should because we did see,
I was going to say,
we did see the game yesterday.
well.
This is the LPL.
Yeah, this is the LPL. But most likely you don't want to opt into that fight, so maybe this is the point where RNG have to get a bit creative. Those TPs, if that minion wave bot pushes in, that could be the answer. And you can see EDG are being a little bit cautious, doing their homework, trying to push waves in and make sure they don't open up that possibility.
I mean, the big thing as well is you already took away that inhibitor on top side, so the minions will naturally push into you, and Viper's just picked up a Runan's Hurricane over his boots.
The problem is that EDG haven't gotten enough of the towers already down. So now they're only getting to work on the tier 2s, trying to actually get to the base of RNG, and you're already starting to run with only a minute left on this Elder Dragon. RNG, I don't think they're going to end up losing their base on this push.
This is a problem going against Orianna Sivir. You saw the Baron RNG got, the wave clear wasn't there for EDG. They lost so much, but here, Orianna Sivir just shred the waves, and I think EDG know they have to make a dive happen. 45 seconds left on the Elder.
And it's not only just the Elder, it's this timer on the top wave as well. Double super creeps in that top wave. EDG needs to go.
They're going to go in for Wei, going to try and take him out, and they should be able to secure that kill. That's one. Flandre trying to see if he can get onto this backside. Gala doing decent damage, but you can see Meiko just kind of keeping him at arm's length. There's 2 kills. They've still got the Elder, and they've still got the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing they can do. They can't match the power. They have to try and defend, but it feels impossible
possible?
Here we go. They're going to have to see a last-ditch effort. If EG went down 2-0, they're looking to make it 2-0 off the back of it. 2-2. They've gotten Xiaohu. Gala can't get into the fight, and Breathe is just left on his lonesome. Gala versus the world, and Gala can't do anything. We're going to the full 5. EDG looking to secure their reverse sweep.
This is a weekend of silver scrapes in the LPL. We will go the full 5 games, and EDG managed to pull it out of the bag and snatch it away from RNG.
It wasn't easy, it wasn't smooth, but EDG do what we know them for best, and that's perform in those late game team fights. The margin of error was so small, and yet they found it.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe, like, the ultimates that we were seeing coming through from JJ at times to put pressure onto Gala, make sure that RNG weren't able to try and follow up. Viper dealing so much damage. The longest TP flank I've ever seen.
2-3 times we saw Flandre committing to fantastic flanks. That got them that time. That pushed them to the point where the 3 inhibitor turrets down didn't matter.
You know who my MVP was?
Flandre.
That control ward. Yeah. That was 75 gold, a lot of value for money on that one.
I mean, what a fight back for EDG. And look, mentally, this is hurting for RNG. Let's be real. You knock down 2 inhibitors, that should be your game. But again, little small mistakes, a little kind of overzealousness, not really dotting their I's and crossing the team. It came back to bite them.
And look, I don't want to go on a tilt, but we saw at the end of the season, RNG needed to beat LGD to be able to lock themselves into the double elimination. They didn't, and then the knock-on effect, not only did they not get the 2-0 they needed, but they then lost the series, and then they went on to lose to EDG. It definitely felt like that was a fumble, and now they were 2-0 up. They've now facing down a 2-2 and a tilting game to lose when they're ahead. If they lose this next game, not only does that push them to have to fight again to make it a Worlds, but that would be a hell of a tilter.
I think it also just puts up massive question marks about what the hell do you do for Game 5. This is the year we've seen it now banned away. The Sylas is becoming a major issue. JJ looking great on the Sejuani in the jungle. It doesn't feel like RNG really have an answer, especially when you're giving over things like the Zeri to Viper. He was so damn strong in this game.
And I love that you brought up the Viper point as well, because again, like we said it wasn't really about the AD carries in the first 2 games, and then Viper just seems to have stepped up. He's gone beyond Gala and saying, look, I am a relevant carry. I'm going to be putting down the DPS. Can you come to suit? And honestly, right now, specifically in that game, Gala felt like he just really didn't have an impact.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, right? The best we've seen of Gala is playing things like the Kai'Sa, even the Aphelios, playing aggressive. I want to challenge the enemy AD carry.
Yep.
This one, he was the backliner, and there wasn't really that much safety from him. Constantly, this Renekton got on top of him. And what can you do?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, the moments when they took these fights weren't good spots for a Sivir, right? Like, you end up with multiple different flank angles where Flandre could get into those spots. You're not facing a front-to-back fight where you can get all these ricochet damage off. And I think that is not only to do with where RNG were taking their fights, but also how EDG were able to set them up. How often we got these crazy flanks from them. And I definitely think it was helped by the Infernal Rift as well. But this just feels now like this is anyone's game. EDG have woken up and they're angry.
Yeah, I mean, they're very angry right now. I think a lot of people doubting them after going 2-0 down. It looked like a completely different team, but they have woken up and they've decided to choose violence. We are going to send it to a break.